lace up those cleats and put on those mitts. It's time for another exciting edition of Our Little Yankees podcast. Stepping up to the mic, it's the OLIP team.
Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, everybody, and welcome inside another exciting and brand spanking new episode of Our Little Yankees podcast, episode 14. We're excited to be back. We took a little week off. Obviously, not a lot going on after the Yankees made all their big major hot stove moves, but now we're back and kicking the can again. I am Julian Coltree, joined as always by my OLIP brothers, Josh Levin.
What up, what up?
And Eric Ray Sepulveda.
How's it going, guys? We're back.
Pretty good.
Yeah,
we're back, baby.
We took the week off. I don't think anybody missed us that much, and
I didn't miss you guys.
Maybe they did.
Oh, hey now.
Oh,
that's unnecessary tension to start the podcast here. Pretty much saying that you didn't miss us, but I did miss you, E-Ray, and I did miss you, Josh. So
thank you.
I felt
and likewise.
Yeah,
likewise. But E-Ray, I thought I missed you, but I don't.
Yeah,
I didn't.
We're taking that back. But in true Yankees fashion and in true baseball fashion, I guess, we're gonna consider this episode 14, like middle relief, because as you guys know, in about a week and a half from when we're recording this, and we're recording this on Tuesday of this week, the Yankees are going to be getting the pitchers and catchers report. And a little bit after that, you're going to get position players to report, the ones that obviously might not feel free to go down there when the pitchers and catchers report. So this is setting us up. Next week's episode is going to be, your setup man, your closer, getting ready for the season, going out there and doing everything we need to do as the Yankees get ready for spring training. But this week's episode, we're going to do some house cleaning. We're going to talk about what happened while we were away last week. We're going to talk about everything that took place in terms of the off season and what the Yankees might need to do in that last week. And we'll have some other fun and surprises to take us home near the end of the pod. But without further ado, let's jump right into it, because really we don't need to beat a dead horse that much, or maybe we do, because the first thing I'm going to ask you guys about is, did you enjoy the Super Bowl?
No, I didn't. No, I didn't. Not at all. It was a terrible game, and I respect Tom Brady, but I hate him. And everyone who knows me knows I'm a big Patrick Mahomes fan. So I was not happy. I did not enjoy it. And as soon as it ended, I blocked it out of my memory, and we're on to baseball season.
Yeah, that just wasn't fun at all. I mean, I still don't think it was as bad as the Rams-Patriots Super Bowl from a couple of years ago. At least we got some offense and some big plays, because that Super Bowl, I mean, I think we were all together. That was dreadful. That was awful, that Super Bowl. But this wasn't that much better, I guess. Just a little more offense. But yeah, I mean, I hated Tom Brady my whole life. I kind of didn't hate him this year that much. I respected him, of course. But then I kind of got PTSD again.
Yeah, man.
In that game, I was like, you know what? This is why I've always hated you. So yeah, I got angry, and now I hate him, I think. But no, he's literally the GOAT. And yeah, Super Bowl's over, and like Josh said, main focus now is to New York Yankees baseball. That's it.
Honestly, I felt a little gypped, because the way Patrick Mahomes kind of played, if the Chiefs had an offensive line, I really do think it would have been like the Super Bowl for the ages, like everybody really built it up to be. That's really the only big problem, is because the Buccaneers showed up, their offense showed up, and the Chiefs offensive line was hurt. And so even though everybody else showed up, and some receivers dropped big passes and stuff like that, but I really think it would
didn't show up.
Yep, not at all. I think it would have been a good game had the offensive line actually been there, because Patrick Mahomes proved again in that game that he is the best player in football, and he's awesome. And there's no reason to not like him, because he is incredible.
I did win a box. I won first.
Oh, you did. That's right.
There you go. That's exciting. Box.
I won a box. I think I bet. I kind of went a little overboard this past Sunday for my standards. I kind of bet maybe between $350 to $400 in different type of bets, and I only lost 50. So that's a win.
Wow.
That kind of is a win.
You essentially broke even then.
Yeah, so I'll take it. I'll take that.
That's not bad. I like that. I dig that. That's awesome.
E-Ray sent a screenshot of one of the bets, and I said to him, "What is the point of this bet?" because he was betting $20 to win $17. And he
And
said,
what happened, Josh?
and
What happened?
did you win that one? I don't remember.
I won that one, baby.
Well, that's good. That's good. You risked $20 to win 17. I'm very proud of you. But anyway, when I said what is the point of this bet, you said to me, I don't need a point or something. Like there is no point. I say
I just bet. There's no reason why I throw bets down. I just see it and I'm like, I like this, and I don't. There's no reasoning behind it. That's kind of just how I live life. Really, there's no reasoning. A lot of things. You just do things you do. You wake up and you do it.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree 100%. All right. Now that we move past the Super Bowl and we talk about the big event that obviously happened last week, let's talk about the Yankees' big signing, so to speak, that happened about a week and a half ago, and we didn't get a chance to go over because we were off last week. And that is the Yankees essentially getting a cheaper Adam Ottavino. They signed Darren O'Day. They did it probably about 2 weeks ago at this point. Darren O'Day, a guy who a lot of people like, a guy who has a track record of being a very serviceable reliever, and the Yankees get him for much, much cheaper than what the guy who would have been the Darren O'Day on this team, so to speak, Adam Ottavino, cost them. So I think we all kind of talked about when it first happened that the signing's not blow your socks off. Yankees probably would like another bullpen arm, but a good move by Cashman.
Yeah, it is a good move. And this guy, we've seen him for years because he really was probably at his best was when he was an Oriole, back when the Orioles had a solid team back in the early 2010s. But this guy is death on right-handed hitters. He can't pitch to lefties, so it is the Ottavino role. But like you said, like you said, it's for much cheaper. So that's where it's a win. So yeah,
I'm a big fan of the underhand gimmick. So
yeah,
me too. I love it. I
every time when it's going against
yes. I was just gonna say that every time there's a side armor that comes in against the Yankees, I get extremely annoyed because our right-handed lineup can't handle it. But now we have one, so now we can turn it around on the other teams. But yeah, no, I think it was a good move and something that they needed to make because they needed to replace what Ottavino was basically providing them the last, in 2020. So yeah, no, I think, they still have a 40-man move to make to get him on the roster. So we'll see what comes next. But yeah, no, just in terms of the O'Day signing, I think we could all agree that there's nothing to not like. Yeah.
You guys basically hit it on the head. I just think that I was just done with Ottavino, right? We talked about it the last pod. I was just done with Ottavino. We got a cheaper option. I mean, the guy's numbers, yeah, he's 38 years old, but the guy's numbers have been great for his career. 2020 last year in the short season, 1.10 ERA and 16.1 innings. 2019, 1.69 ERA. He got a little hurt there. 2018, 3.60 ERA. I mean, this guy is a good pitcher when he needs to get right-handers out, and that's exactly what we needed. And I think with this signing, I do expect another pitcher, like whether it's Rosenthal or David Robinson. I don't think he signed, right? No, I don't think he signed it. I just always think of like ex-Yankees because Cashman loves to.
And Shane Green, another ex-Yankee.
Yeah.
Exactly, Shane Green. I just think that Cashman's not done. I think they're going to get another pitcher. I would expect so because we still have money to play with, and I think we need to. But yeah, man, how can you not? I love this Darren O'Day signing. I dig it.
Yeah, I agree 100%. I think it is understated just how much a guy who is in Adam Ottavino's role, but will actually be able to get outs on a consistent basis, how big of a benefit that will be for this team, because we saw the last 2 years Aaron Boone's inability and lack of desire to put in Adam Ottavino in situations. So to know that even if it's just getting the heart of an order out, a couple of big righties or whatever it might be when you're in the 6th, 7th inning, it's going to be big to have a guy that will be able to do that. And it's really going to make it so that the bullpen isn't taxed at all. Josh, to your point, I had actually read, I think it was on Views from 314, or maybe it was Mike Axia with River Ave Blues, that it's possible the Yankees might wait until spring training to do something because they might put Luis Severino on the 60-day or IL now. Mm-hmm. So that would mean that they wouldn't have to fill up a 40-man roster spot for the Darren O'Day signing because they would be able to move it around with the IL, something that is worth keeping in mind on. But as we will kind of discuss as we go forward with the Yankees last minute or last week off-season moves that we might see them do before pitchers and catchers report next week, they probably will need to fill up or cut somebody in order to make it so that they have not just one, but I would say two, heck, maybe even three 40-man roster spots, depending on who they're going to go out there and get. So it's okay, Ray. You can cough on camera. There is a new setup
I said
now.
Mike Ford.
Yep. I thought you were coughing.
You
I
didn't
didn't
hear
even
that?
hear you.
No, I thought you said sorry.
See, I thought
But
you're right.
It was that good.
Yeah, it was really good. I was impressed. Yes, but Mike Ford, he would be a perfect person to get rid of in favor of a couple of the guys.
He is a lefty though, so they might keep him. But
it's true though, they do have Mike Talkman as a lefty off the bench, is something that they could do. So we'll have
speaking
to see.
of lefties, Brett Gardner is still not signed.
Oh, he's still there too, and I think we all expect him to come back.
Yep, yeah, I agree.
I still think.
And that's a good point in terms of transitioning from the Darren O'Day conversation, unless you guys have something else that you would want to bring up about it, which is the Yankees now have a week, give or take. February 17th is when they're going to be taking their stuff down to Tampa and having pitchers and catchers report. And outside of making that move for Darren O'Day and getting him onto the 40-man roster, Brett Gardner, among other people, are positions where the Yankees probably could afford to shore up their roster even more than what they've already done. So we'll start with Brett Gardner, and you guys can kind of break down what you think is going to happen with the situation, because he isn't signed yet, and we all kind of believe that it is going to be a formality. But, you know, the closer you get to spring training, the more you want the guy to actually be there.
For sure. The good thing is, on that note, is that this guy has been around for so long that the Yankees probably feel like they could wait it out a little bit longer and they're not really worried. They probably know exactly what he's been up to all winter in terms of, you know, his workouts and staying in shape and whatnot. They know, and he knows that the only place he's going to play is here in New York. So I don't think either side is in a rush. I kind of maybe wonder if the Yankees are trying to figure out the rest of their moves before they sign Gardner back, because I don't think they want to. I mean, we know they don't want to give him a ton of money. So I kind of wonder if maybe they're waiting to see, you know, is there another move to make in the bullpen? Are we going to bring in another, you know, maybe another middle infielder for the bench that's to, you know, basically take the place of Tyler Wade. Exactly. So I want, you know, I feel like we all know that it's an inevitability that Gardner will be back, but it's just a matter of, is it going to happen? Is that the next thing that happens, or is it, you know, after a couple other moves? And I kind of feel like it may come after, you know, maybe another pitcher signs or something like that.
Yeah, I think John Boy and Jake on the Talking Yanks podcast, they made a joke a couple weeks ago saying like, yeah, I don't think Brett Gardner's agent even has anyone else's numbers or something. And I actually believe them. Like, I think it is like Brett Gardner's going to come back, but is it, like Josh said, is it going to be before or after they make other moves? Really the only reasoning is Brett Gardner's a Yankee, man. He's going to come back. It's just when and how much it's going to be. I think we talked about it a couple weeks ago too, that before DJ, like Brian Cashman told Brett Gardner and the agent, listen, you're going to be there. Just chill out, relax right now. Let's figure out our situation, and then we'll call you and we'll get you back in here. I really do think that's going to happen. We would be so shocked if Brett Gardner's not a Yankee.
Not only that, but I think the Yankees, I mean, believe it or not, it's weird to say, but I think the Yankees would be missing something if they did not bring back Brett Gardner, especially on defense. I saw a stat today that over the last couple of years, he's top 10 in terms of defensive WAR for outfielders in baseball. So it's like they need somebody that they can put out there when A, somebody eventually gets hurt, but B, if they need really good defense at some point in a game during the course of this year. So I think while they are waiting, it's not just, oh, well, it'll be nice to have Brett back, but it's like, yeah, I think he is a piece that they need to have back in order for them to compete and be good, and at least to be to the level of efficiency that they think they need to compete this year.
Well, you know, you look at the other outfield options in terms of bench guys, and it's Mike Talkman and Greg Allen. Gardner is better than both of them. So yeah, I mean, it's crazy to say it because he's 38 years old, going on 39. And he's been around for forever. But yeah, I mean, him signing improves the team, which
Yeah.
I don't think we would have sat here a year ago and said the same thing. So yeah, it's something that, to be honest, that needs to get done. But none of us are worried that it won't. It's just a matter of when and not if.
Is that growth, considering now that we've kind of realized that the Yankees are going to get injured so much that they need Brett Gardner out there and that they need his glove and they need his clutch Yankiness, I guess is the best way to put it.
He's a better hitter than Tauchman and Greg Allen. He's more reliable. They know exactly what they're getting.
He doesn't miss fastballs down the middle?
Yes. They know exactly what they're getting from him. He's kind of like, I feel like, he's what the Yankees hope Mike Tauchman could become one day, but I don't know if that's ever going to happen. So yeah, I mean, I don't want to get into a whole thing of Jock Peterson signed with the Cubs, and that would have been a perfect player for the Yankees. We know the budget constraints. We've beat the dead horse many times. We've beaten it dead, and we've beaten it dead again.
It's just annoying, of course.
It's annoying.
We understand that.
But it comes with the territory.
Yeah, we have to be realistic, right? With the budget constraints, it just sucks.
We're not Dodgers fans, so
yeah, we're not Dodgers fans or Padres fans.
In the last 2 weeks, the Yankees signed Darren O'Day, but there were a lot of other big baseball moves. I mean, we had Nolan Arenado, who, man, we can talk about with the Rockies owner. That was a freaking disaster. He was at that press conference, and then we have Trevor Bauer kind of trolling the Mets, maybe not.
He absolutely trolled the Mets.
Yeah,
where the Dodgers now are like this super team. Can't wait to hopefully. I mean, I hope we make the World Series to try to defend against that. But let's make the World Series first. But yeah, man, we can, like Josh was saying, we can keep complaining or keep thinking about other bench players that they could have signed, because that's the one thing we wanted to do, right? We wanted to really shore up this bench. We wanted to do better than Tyler Wade, Mike Ford, Mike Tauchman, and even Brett Gardner. But it's kind of where it is right now, and just Brett Gardner at this moment is a better upgrade than the guys that we have currently. So,
all right. So let me ask you a question. Go back to your personalities and your thoughts of 2.5, 3 months ago. Well, let's say after Thanksgiving, and I say to you, the New York Yankees offseason is complete, and this is who they've got: DJ, Corey Kluber, Jamison Tyon, Darren O'Day, Brett Gardner, and let's throw in Shane Green for a mix. What would you grade the offseason?
C+, B. I don't know. Not I mean, LeMahieu was the bare minimum. They had to bring in starting pitchers because we don't want to bring up E-Ray's favorite Yes Network graphic again. But the two pitchers that they brought in were guys who are coming off injury-plagued seasons and, came in on the cheap. The only reason they were brought in was because it didn't really cost much. And Gardner coming back to the bench is basically, we assume it's the same bench, so they didn't improve that. I mean, I don't think they're a worse team than they were last year, but I don't necessarily think they're better. And yeah, I mean, so if they get Shane Green, I'll be happy with that. But they haven't done that yet. There's no reports that say that they're going to. So, yeah, I mean, I don't know. I guess they pass, but not. You wouldn't be proud to bring that grade home. Your mom wouldn't like it.
Wow.
I like that.
My mom was always proud of my grades going.
Did you fail a lot?
No, I'm saying I was a good student. I was an honor roll
you didn't
guy.
specify that. You just said your mom was always proud of your grades.
That's true.
In college, I was. We don't talk college. College is kind of what I'm going to give. College, honestly, is what I'm going to give as well. But the Yankees offseason, I think like C+, B-. That's kind of where I was in college, and that's kind of where I don't know. Like we need a lot for the Yankees to happen, right? And I'm sticking to the realistic. I'm being realistic about what we knew about the Yankees offseason. Yeah, we could have signed all these other guys, Brantley, all these other pitchers, and Tanaka back, and it should be a lot lower. I would give it an F. But no, I'm going to be realistic, and I'm going to say that the Yankees upgraded a little bit. They brought back a priority, and a lot needs to happen with Corey Kluber, Tyon, all their pitching. I would say C+, B- as well. again, if this doesn't work out like it usually doesn't, don't want to get negative, pessimistic. You said 3 months. Think about who you are 3 months ago. That's the same me Ray I am 3 months later. Pessimism. So yeah, C plus B minus.
Here's the thing. Me personally, I would say a D plus.
Wow.
And
Okay.
I'm actually going
So
like
based
it.
off.
I like it.
Well, I'm going based off of what we said 3 months ago, and that's why I want to preface in the question. And the one thing we said 3 months ago, bench needs to be improved. And the only thing that they are doing for their bench right now, they haven't even done yet. And we assume they will do by next week, but they haven't done it yet. They had an opportunity to get a plethora of guys who would fit that bench spot that they've been missing, so that they don't have to bring Mike Ford into a must-win playoff game where it's do or die, and this guy is the only person they can bring out there. And right now they haven't done that. And if they bring back Brett Gardner, which we all expect that they will, then their bench is exactly the same as it was last year. And therefore, you're not even good enough to pass because you didn't do the assignment that was given. You could get an incomplete and maybe get some extra credit to help your grade after the fact, but you're not doing what you needed to do, at least in the opinion of us 3 months ago when we were discussing this on the early episodes of the podcast. So I would not be happy about that. If you went position by position like what we did, I think you could give the Kluber signing and the Tyon signing, or the trades and the signings of Kluber and Tyon, C pluses, maybe a C if you really want to. But in terms of overall what the Yankees did with their offseason, understanding the budget constraints, it's definitely still a D plus.
I think you're right. I mean, but at the same time, I kind of want to grade on a curve, not to continue with this analogy, but look at the rest of the look at the rest of the AL East, right? The Rays are worse than they were before. The Red Sox are not a factor. Neither are the Orioles. The Blue Jays maybe will be their toughest competition, but they don't have nearly enough pitching. The Yankees Houston didn't get better. The White Sox got better.
Justin Verlander, Tommy John. So
right. The White Sox are maybe the only team in the American League that got better this offseason. I think the Yankees, we probably all agree, are the same, so I mean, it's kind of on a curve. It's like, okay, they did enough because they're still the favorites to win the American League pennant, but we shouldn't be just aiming for that. We shouldn't be saying, well, look at the rest of the competition. The rest of the competition stinks. We should be doing what the Dodgers are doing and trying to make sure that we are, by all measures, the best team in the American League, make ourselves the considerable favorites to win the American League and to win the World Series. And that's just not, that killer instinct is just not there and hasn't been there for some time. And we've talked about that, multiple times on this podcast so far.
Well, that's why it's frustrating when you see the Dodgers go out there and spend the $45 million per season to get Trevor Bauer, because this team just won the World Series and now they're $25 million over the $210 million luxury tax. I think their payroll now that Bauer is on there is about $235 million. So the fact that a team with that insane amount of money could say to themselves, we can still get better and we want to get better so we can continue to win. That's obviously what's most frustrating. We don't have to beat a dead horse any more than we already do, because we've lamented about this countless times on the podcast, and we will only continue to lament about it the longer that this team does not win a World Series. But from that perspective, it's just obviously it's sucky to see other teams do what the Yankees could do if they wanted to, invest in the short-term success with ignoring long-term problems.
Well,
sorry, go ahead, E-Ray.
I was just going to say, it just sucks that we always have to, deal with these question marks, right? And if we get to October, the pitchers that we said needed to stay healthy are hurt, and the players, especially in the outfield, that we said that they need to be healthy gets hurt, and then we look back and it's another ALDS exit or ALCS exit, gets the World Series again, then it's going to be an F again, because it's the same old shit, right? So I guess grading on a curve would be a good analogy, but again, we're just going to have to, it's always wait and see with this team, which sucks, but it's just the nature of the beast.
Well, if you want to, talk about, all right, they're not going to sign the Jock Petersons or the Kyle Schwarbers for, fairly decent money to be guys that are bench parts. What about guys that they could still sign that could improve the team? And something that interesting that I think it was yesterday that I saw was that Shin-Soo Choo is going to be working out at first base. He's a lefty hitter. He's a really good hitter against right-handed pitching. He's an on-base machine. If he makes a transition to first base, why isn't this a guy that you can sign for extremely cheap, possibly even a minor league deal, and replace Mike Ford? Because this guy is a proven major league hitter who seems to be willing to accept a lesser role than he has in the past, just by acknowledging that he's going to work out at a new position at an advanced age that he's at. That's the kind of move that it's like, okay, this guy, he's not the all-star player that he once was, but he's a much better player than most of the players
Mike
they have on
Ford.
their bench. Much better than Mike Ford. Why isn't that a guy? That's a guy that should be on the Yankees' radar. Now, we have no idea if he is. There haven't really been any indications as to who's interested in him, but that's the kind of guy that I'm looking at and I'm saying, okay, we know the Yankees want to keep it tight to that 210 number. This guy could come on a minor league contract.
He turned down
Let's
the
do
Yankees.
it.
Remember that?
Yeah, they try, and that's the thing. They have a history. They tried to get him before, and
What was
luckily,
it?
I'm glad they didn't get him last
Yeah,
time. 'Cause
thank
that
God.
contract
No, it was
a
good.
mess.
I mean, I think we gave it to Ellsbury anyway.
Yeah,
Right?
we did.
So I mean, it would have been too
But
stupid.
yeah,
Contract anyway,
we would have hated Chu. But
Yeah.
either way, the point is that we know the Yankees at one point in time liked him. That was a while ago, but they did like him. So that's person I'm keeping my eye on, and I'm thinking to myself, well, I hope the Yankees bring him in because I think he would fit quite well on this team.
Yeah, I agree. Absolutely. Before we move on, I'm going to throw a name at you and the person who I'm going to throw at you is signed. They're not going to be a Yankee, but I want to take us on a little bit of a trip down memory lane and ask you guys your thoughts about this. Not sure if you guys heard, but the one-time Seattle Mariner, the one-time assured to be a Yankee one day, Felix Hernandez just signed with the Baltimore Orioles. Odds are he's not really going to have that amazing of a season with Baltimore, given the fact that their team is a mess and they don't have a good opportunity to win. And who knows, maybe he'll be able to get some individual stat lines on. But the fact of the matter is he doesn't have a whole lot of years left. And I don't think that we're ever going to see King Felix don the pinstripes like we all thought that he might have probably about a decade ago, which leads me to ask this question. Is it weird, or do you find it weird that Felix Hernandez was never a Yankee?
Not really, because while he did have a really insane prime, it was short. He didn't have an extended period of success. I think he signed a contract with Seattle to stay there when he was still at the top of his game.
Mm-hmm.
But back in a decade ago when the Yankees, well, I mean, they still need pitching, but back when they needed pitching the last time,
we're gonna be saying that for the rest of the time.
it was Cliff Lee who they wanted to get from Seattle.
Yeah.
We can get Ire going if we say that name.
I hate him. The worst.
Yeah, but no, I'm not really surprised because the Yankees kind of seemed like they had other targets, and maybe Seattle never really wanted to part with him because he was sort of the face of the franchise. As Ichiro got older. So yeah,
maybe it was just the fan base. I
know
like
we all wanted
really
him, right?
charged on the idea of.
I'm gonna be the opposite. I'm kind of surprised because like you said, I don't know if it's the fan base or the internet, but usually when the Yankees are interested in the guy, they'll bring him in at any point, even if he's like retired at home. They'll still bring him in to pitch or something like that. I maybe it's not over for King Felix. Yeah, he signed with the Orioles, but who knows? Maybe the Yankees will sign him later on. I know.
Hey, maybe he has a great year. He turns back the clock. Baltimore trades him, and the Yankees are the team that eventually make the deal.
I just feel like when you hear of these big names, they always like big names at one point of their career. There's like, oh, he was a Yankee one. He was a Yankee one time. Oh yeah, wow, he was a Yankee. And I think I am a little surprised that King Felix never was a Yankee. Personally, for me.
I think for me, I just have really vivid memories of me in high school and early college when the Yankees, like Josh said, were that one arm away from having that CC 1A, second ace 1B, person. And the Yankees were hot and heavy with Cliff Lee. They were hot and heavy with the Mariners when they got Michael Pineda. And Felix was that dude who was the best pitcher in baseball on the worst team in baseball. So it almost always kind of felt like the writing was on the wall that the Yankees had these prospects. They had a relationship with Seattle. And I don't know, like I said, maybe it was trumped up by whatever internet site or rumors or Twitter or blogs or whatever. But it always kind of felt like the Yankees were one bad Seattle Mariners season and one really good Yankee season away from finally pulling the move and making that trigger. And maybe the rumors weren't as big as that, like one summer when Jake DeGrom was not getting any run support, and the New York Post put him and Noah Syndergaard in pinstripes on the back page. But I don't know. I agree with E-Ray. It still feels kind of weird. And if he does retire, never having been a Yankee, I would be like, oh, interesting.
Well, at this point, I don't know if we want him to be, because he's been
terrible. I don't need
him
anymore.
I think that ship has sailed.
No, I agree. Absolutely. 100%. But you know what? I think it is kind of funny. And you could probably go down the list of big time, awesome pitchers who at their prime, the team could have probably made a trade for, and they were never there. And hey, sometimes they go after those big time, starting pitchers that everybody kind of says to themselves, like, oh, this is the guy who's going to be the game changer, and they never are. And that leads us to the next point, and a really good fun exercise that Josh shared with us last week, because one of those guys that the Yankees got, who was an ace, who never really worked out, was Randy Johnson. And he was, of course, on this little Talking Yanks choose a 5-man rotation using $15 that Josh shared with us in our OLIP chat. So Josh, E-Ray, we went through this in our little group chat. We each came up with our individual things, but for the fans at home, this is what you got. You got your $5 bracket, you got your $4 bracket, 3, 2, 1, etc. And then there's a $0 bracket as well. You got to choose and put together a 5-man rotation, and you can only use $15. So the 3 pitchers worth 5 are CC, Mike Mussina, and Andy Pettit. The 3 worth 4 are Tanaka, Sevy, and Roger Clemens. The $3 pitchers are Chin-Ming Wong, Hiroki Kuroda, and Jobber Chamberlain. $2 pitchers, Abon Nova, James Paxton, Jordan Montgomery. Then you got Phil Hughes, Randy Johnson, Burnett, and then Brown, Pavano, and Carl Vasquez. That's your $0 pitchers. Josh, I think you and I already came up with it and posted it. E-Ray, if you did, I didn't see it, but either way, we're going to be sharing it now. Josh, I'll start with you because you were the guy who shared it with me and E-Ray. Give us your rotation.
Okay, so yeah, I'll take CC for 5 and Pettit for 5, and then I'll round it out with Kuroda for 3, AJ Burnett, and Phil Hughes for $1 a piece, and that's my 5-man rotation. And if you want me to explain it, I will. Well, obviously, I think CC is the obvious choice on this list based on his Yankee tenure. I mean, Clemens was very successful as a Yankee, winning Cy Young and whatnot. But I think CC is the guy that I trust the most out of all these pitchers. He's going to go to the Hall of Fame. Pettit, I mean, big game pitcher, postseason guy. He's the guy you want on the mound in a must-win game or in a closeout game in a series. Hiroki Kuroda is honestly maybe the most underappreciated and underrated Yankee of our entire lives. I mean, he was so good as a Yankee. He flew extremely under the radar. I was at a playoff game in 2012 against the Tigers. It was the day after Derek Jeter broke his ankle. Kuroda was pitching like a no-hitter into the 7th. I mean, the Yankees ended up losing because they couldn't hit with runners in scoring position.
Shocking.
That sounds about right.
But that was a guy that I feel like you trusted every 5th day. He came in and he gave you 7 innings, 2 or 3 runs.
He was good on the Dodgers too.
Yeah, he was a gamer. That's the kind of guy I like in the middle of the rotation. He's not an ace level pitcher, but he's very reliable. And then, after that, I'm kind of running out of money. I only have $2 left. The guys on the $0 tier, they're just out. I mean, I'm not picking. I'm not picking Kevin Brown.
Those 3 are untouchable.
I'm not picking Kevin.
With me, I don't know.
Well, maybe we'll see what E-Ray throws together. But
E-Ray's
Kevin Brown,
3 $5 guys, and then
hey, stop taking my guys.
Kevin Brown, Carl Pavano, Javi Vasquez out. Javi Vasquez failed twice. So yeah, I'm left with the $1 guys. Phil Hughes and AJ Burnett. Phil Hughes was an all-star 1 year as a Yankee as a starting pitcher, and then he was an awesome reliever in 09. And AJ Burnett was part of the 09 rotation, and they're not winning that championship without him because he pitched some big games, in particular in the World Series. So, yeah, those are my two choices there. Randy Johnson was one of the all-time greats, one of the best pitchers we've ever seen. That did not carry over to the pinstripes. It was just not a good fit. So that's why I didn't choose him out of those $1 guys.
So I'll go next to give E-Ray a little bit more time because he didn't do his homework.
Shocking. I thought he was a good student.
I pretty much wanted to go about this combining the idea of who these people are as pitchers, but also who they were as Yankees. But, I want to have a little fun with it and think of it logically. So I went with CC to begin with, just like you did, Josh, because I think it will go down in the echelons of Yankee fandom that CC Sabathia was maybe one of the best pitchers that have ever graced the Yankees, because of how good he was, because of the fact that every fifth day he went out there and dominated, because of how big of a leader he was in the clubhouse. And then, of course, that he came here to win a World Series, and the Yankees won the World Series with him. So he's an easy option for going with your ace, and he's a $5 well spent. Then I went with Roger Clemens because I feel like Roger Clemens is one of the best pitchers of all time, steroids aside. And as a number 2 starter behind CC Sabathia, I feel like you could do a lot worse than Roger Clemens, who pitched World Series games for them, was a World Series champion for them, had the opportunity to go out there and perform when the lights were the brightest. And sometimes he didn't always live up to it. He wasn't Andy Pettitte when it came to must-win games, but he was a guy who was a phenomenal pitcher, and to have him as your number 2 is fantastic, which leads me to my number 3 starter, the best Yankee pitcher when the Yankees needed a good pitcher, and the man who I love, Chien-Ming Wang. He was fantastic. Pre-running the bases, Chien-Ming Wang was maybe the most underrated Yankees ace of all time because of how awesome he was.
In that closet behind me is a Chien-Ming Wang jersey.
Yep.
Wow.
It's not a Severino jersey. It's a Chien-Ming Wang jersey.
Yep. I love Chien-Ming Wang, and he was the man. And it stinks that he got screwed.
Can we go back in time?
Because he was awesome. Yeah. And him as your number 3, he went like what? It was 19 and like 2 1 year or whatever it was.
He won 19 games 2 seasons in a row.
Yep.
I think it was like 19 and 8 and 19 and something.
Yep. So he was fantastic, and him as your number 3 is great. And then I did 2 $1 pitchers. AJ Burnett, same reasoning that you had, Josh. Big integral part of the Yankees World Series title. And then I went with Randy Johnson because as your 5th starter, Randy might not have been the ace the Yankees wanted when they brought him in, but trotting out Randy Johnson every 5th day, you could have worse number 5 starters if it really boiled down to it. Though I will say, I do understand their reasoning behind the different tiers, but it is kind of funny that Roger Clemens was a $4 pitcher as opposed to a $5 pitcher. That was just my thought.
That is true.
His career as a Yankee, I was just looking because I couldn't remember off the top of my head. He had a 4 ERA as a Yankee.
Really?
So,
wow.
Yeah.
So
part of that factors in the return in 2007 when he was
George
way
Steinbrenner's
over the hill. He was back in George Steinbrenner's blocks. But yeah, no, he won a Cy Young.
One of the biggest. Were you guys watching live or listening on the radio? That was one of the
that was
of all time.
Yeah.
That
was crazy.
And Andy Pettitte's return in 2011 was actually a pretty big pop as well.
Yes.
When I saw I remember I was you guys know my friend Anthony Murillo. I was at Hofstra, actually, your guys' alma mater.
Wow.
And I was I was there for the night, and the next morning we have Yes Network on, of course. I don't know why we had it on. Oh, it was spring training in March. And then we see like the big Yes Network thing, and it's like Andy Pettitte's coming back. We're like, whoa, holy shit. But yeah,
that was late. Yeah. So what he won a Cy Young, Josh, is what you're saying.
He won a Cy Young in 2001. And he was an all-star that year. He was an all-star again in 2003. But if you look, I was curious. He had a 3.7 ERA in 2000, a 3.5 ERA when he won the Cy Young, which is crazy because he had 20 wins, so that's why he won the Cy Young. He was 20-3.
Wins really.
But now, if he had
hard now.
if he had 20 wins and a 3.5 ERA in 2021,
he wouldn't even be like top 10 in Cy Young.
He would not win the Cy Young. The next year in 2002, he had a 4.35 ERA and then a 3.9 ERA in 2003, his last year before the comeback. So I think we remember 2001 because he was so good that year.
And I remember 2003, he with him pitching in Game 7. But even then, he wasn't that good. And I mean, he was fine.
Well, he was he was old. He was by 2003, he was 40 years old. And I'm looking at these innings.
Quote unquote retirement year, wasn't it?
Yeah. Well, then he went to Houston.
Yeah.
And took Pettit with him.
But worse.
His innings
should have been a career Yankee.
His innings number. I mean, as a 40-year-old with the Yankees, he threw 211 innings. As a 42-year-old in Houston, he threw 211 innings. Like, people don't do that now when they're 21.
Yeah, that's insane. He was a workhorse. I'll give him that.
Yeah, and well, he had a little extra help, if you know what I'm
talking
that's
about.
True
too. Yes.
Oh, yeah.
You're not wrong.
E-Ray, what's your rotation?
So this is how I attacked it. Ready? So I have a few, of course, because I can never make my mind.
Oh, that's a cop.
No. This is where
you got to go with the $15.
I'm going to tell you the process, and I'm going to make you the final one. So the first one I went is Andy Pettit, because I just love Andy Pettit, big game pitcher. Then, of course, I had to pick my little Tanaka with $4, just because how can I not? He would get hurt, and I would get a text later from him saying, no. Okay, so what are we on here? I said I was good at school, but I wasn't
$9. 5 plus 4 is 9.
That's 9. Then I would take Kuroda, of course, for everything Josh listed.
Kuroda was a $3 pitcher?
Yeah, $3. So this is where I was in the situation. I don't like any of the $2 pitchers. So then, I
agree.
Nova was good, but I don't want him in my rotation. So that kind of just then scratched out everything, if I'm doing the math right. Because I would be $1 short if I had to go 2 of the other guys. So, or I could pick another $3 guy and do the no dollars, but I didn't want that. So I scratched that. Then I was like, you know what? What if I just do that? What if I pick 3 $5 pitchers, as you said, Josh? I mean, you got a rotation with CC, Messina, and Pettit, and then I'll put in Vasquez and Pavano because I ain't pitching Kevin Brown. Out of all those 3 guys, I can't believe Pavano didn't. I was pissed that he got hurt, but I can never look at Kevin Brown like after that Game 7. I just can't. So Kevin Brown's out. Punch the wall, bro. Get out of here. But then I was like, you know what? You can have 3 aces like that, but it's the Yankees in October. They can pitch shutouts, but guess what? They're probably going to get shut out too. We're probably losing 4 or 5 games. In Game 5, Sabathia, whoever pitches, Pettit, Messina, they'll probably pitch the game of their life, but we'll lose 2-1 when our relief pitcher, Chapman, whoever, wants to blow it. So it doesn't matter. So you know what? Then I went to the final decision. I think I'm going to go Pettit because I still want him in there. I love CC, but I think I'm more like I just want that big game. Like Pettit's been there. In 2009, he was there every other year. So Pettit, then Clemens. So that's, 9?
Yeah.
So they're leaving you halfway through to go to Houston.
And I'm still going to pick Tanaka. Then I'm going to pick Tanaka. So Pettit, Clemens, Tanaka. And this is where I picked the $1 guys. And I will go Phil Hughes and AJ Burnett. I know you picked Randy Johnson, Jules, and Randy Johnson was great. But he wasn't great on the Yankees, and he wasn't bad though.
Yeah, he was. Look at the stats.
Actually, he was pretty bad.
He was terrible.
I hated him. I actually hated Randy Johnson. He was I forget that he was on the Yankees sometimes. I actually do. Yeah. I try to erase that from my memory.
It's very easy to forget he was on the Yankees.
So yeah,
there's a Randy Johnson jersey in that closet too, but I say it's Miguel Andujar.
And you could probably say, why is Tanaka in there? My reasoning is because I just love the guy. I don't care.
Right, so
I don't think anyone would question that, though.
Actually, yeah, you're right, because he has been pretty damn good.
Wait, E-Ray, you went Pettit, Tanaka?
I went Pettit, Clemens, Tanaka, Burnett, and Hughes.
Pettit, Clemens, Tanaka. All right, so 8, 13.
Tell me he went over.
Yeah, no.
I didn't go over.
He didn't.
No, $5. No, I didn't.
No, you
I said
didn't.
you
You
didn't.
didn't.
I
You
said you
didn't.
didn't. I said
Take
you
it
didn't.
easy.
All right, relax.
All right, calm down. All
Yeah, he
right, so
had
that's
15
mine.
because you got 8 plus it's 13 and then $2 is 15. So you were good.
All right,
I
that's
applaud you.
where I attacked that little assignment you gave me. So
Yep. Right.
Nice
See?
job.
There you go. Exciting
you.
stuff.
Nice
So
job.
there's our rotations, and the fact of the matter is, I wanted to end this podcast with a little bit of a nice, cute assignment for you guys, because the fact is, come next week we have the start of spring training with pitchers and catchers reporting, and then as we get through that, we talk about some of the things that we're seeing with spring training and the roster invitees, and obviously all the games, and then we get into the end of spring training with our predictions, and then next thing you know, we're full bore into the MLB season. There's going to be a lot of exciting things that we need to discuss, and there's not going to be a lot of time for cutesy things, especially when the Yankees are on their 15th injury or whatever it is that's happening throughout the start of the season. Last but not least, Major League Baseball, a couple of rules changes. We don't need to go that in depth in regards to it because obviously there's not much to say outside of the face value stuff, but I figured throw it out there and give you guys the opportunity to talk about it a little bit. MLB and the Players Association agreeing on a handful of things. First things first, they are going to reintroduce and reuse for the full 162 game season this year, 7-inning doubleheaders, and they're going to have the man on second in extra innings. Both of those things, of course, happened last year with the 60 game season. Then they carried over. They are not going to have the universal DH. They're not, as of right now, going to have expanded playoffs. And last but not least, it seems as though Major League Baseball is admitting that the balls were doctored a little bit a couple of years ago, and that's why they were flying out of the park, because they are, quote unquote, deadening the baseballs a little bit to make it so that they are a little bit, I guess, less prone to flying out of the park or less prone to offense. Don't know why they would want to do that. You would think they would want offense at this point, but face value, those are the rules and regulations that we're going to be seeing for the 162 this year. What are your guys' thoughts?
Well, I mean, I'm not a fan of the extra innings rule or the double. I mean, the 7-inning doubleheaders. I guess I'm okay with that, but I don't love it. But I'm okay with it. I don't like the extra innings rule. I understand that they're trying to basically make the games shorter because people complain about them being long, but they use the COVID stuff as another reason to shorten the amount of time the players are at the game, or create less wear and tear on the players to keep them healthier for longer in the season. I mean, listen, this regime in baseball is doing a lot of different things to try to I don't know, spice up the game, if you want to give them credit, which I don't think they deserve, but I'm
They're
not a
using
fan
the
of
wrong
it.
spices.
I agree. I'm not a fan of it at all. I hope one day it goes back to just being the game that it's always been, and embracing the fact that it's different rather than trying to like conform to, make
I'd
it
rather
more
them keep the
similar.
game the way that it is and then just get those awesome baseballs that were hitting bunches of home runs, because then you just get some offense at least.
Well, I'm okay with the baseball thing because I think it got a little bit out of control. I'm not a fan personally of the, home run strikeout walk thing. So we'll see what happens, because now there's a chance that there will be less home runs. So is it going to just be more strikeouts and more walks? And if that's the case, then we have an issue, because that's not going to be fun for anybody. But yeah, I mean, I'm okay with it for now because I think it evens the playing field a little bit for the players. I still think, I mean, for the pitchers, sorry.
it
I
helps
still
our
think,
pitchers, right?
yes, it does. Yes, it does. And I think the guys that are, home run hitters, your Judges, your Stantons, your Voits, they're still going to hit their home runs. I'm not worried about, losing 10 home runs in a season from those guys because of this. And, maybe the guys who aren't home run hitters, like your Brett Gardners, maybe they go back down to earth a little bit. We'll see. I'm willing to try it. The one thing that's just crazy is the fact that, in this sport, we have no idea what the rules are from year to year. We wait until a week before spring training begins to figure out how we're going to play the season. We also wait until maybe even into the season because they said the rules can still change. We don't know from year to year what the baseball is going to be like. The actual physical ball that they use to play the game, we don't know what that's going to be like. It's just all over the place. It makes no sense. But it does make sense. It does make sense if you follow along the Rob Manfred era of his commissionership, if that's a word.
And he's not done yet, baby. He's gonna keep fucking it up.
Yes. So yeah, I mean, those are my thoughts.
It's humorous considering that this is a league that not only has all these issues, but also might have to go through collective bargaining again in literally less than 12 months. And then on top of, it absolutely is a guarantee. And then on top of all that, this is the league that has the most problems in terms of drawing an audience. You would think that they would want to limit the issues in regards to their logistical, shortcomings, because if they did, maybe that would allow them to concentrate on actually building an audience. But it seems as though they haven't figured that out yet. And thus we're here and we're continuing to do what it is that we're doing.
The one thing, though, that I will say is I'm not really sure why the universal DH and expanded playoffs are like sort of a package deal in these negotiations.
Yeah.
I think we're all pro universal DH, right? But I think we'll also take the trade-off of not having the universal DH and keeping the playoffs to 5 teams in each league.
Oh, of course.
Because the expanded playoffs, 2020, it made sense because of the shortened season, and it gives teams a little bit more leeway. But in a 162 game season, completely ridiculous idea that I hope never happens. It makes why would I waste my time watching 162 baseball games if all my team has to do to make the playoffs is come in second place and possibly even third place? To make one of the
it's even stupider to think about, considering how big of a success the second wild card actually was.
Yes.
Because it made the actual division and it made your heart race if you went into that wild card game with like, oh geez, there's actually a chance.
And take it from us.
Because
to be honest, I kind of hate the 1 game playoff too. I understand, like,
in it.
I understand. Yeah, it's great when you're. I don't know. I feel like you could do the same amount of teams and maybe do a 3 game series for baseball. I just think that's another thing. It's kind of similar, I guess, or relatable. But I just don't think 162 games should come to 1 game as well.
I agree. I think that's capsule. I agree, but I also think that play devil's advocate. But I think there is, for this sake, I think that this is one of the few things that Major League Baseball actually does right in their marketing and in their gathering of fans, which is everybody loves a game 7. This is essentially a game 7.
Yeah.
You market it as this is your 1 game, best pitcher versus best pitcher for the fans of the teams. We've seen the Yankees in it a countless number of times the last 5 years. So it sucks. But for Major League Baseball's purposes, the best way to grow fans is to get eyes on that. And that makes sense, which is the complete opposite of what they would be doing if they just said, all right, we're having 10 playoff teams. Everybody get in here.
Maybe I'm just being, because we've been in it. And I mean, we lived that first inning in 2017.
Yeah.
The most dramatic first inning of our lives. I don't know. I don't like the 1 game. Maybe if you can just do the reseeding. I understand the importance. It makes you say, okay, then win your division, right? It makes winning the division that much important. But I just hate when the Yankees, I think, for example, the Yankees would come in second and the AL Central team was 10 games behind their record. And we would still have to, we won 100 games and we still have to be stuck. If they kind of fix that, but that opens up another can of worms, right, with the reseeding. But
there's no perfect way to do it. But in a sport where you play the 4 other teams in your division 18 or 19 times a year, which makes up the vast majority of your season, the division needs to matter. It needs to mean something because you're spending most of your season competing against those teams. So if you are the best of those 5 teams, that should matter a significant amount.
Rewarded for it.
And it should be rewarded.
Yeah, that's true.
So the expanded playoffs completely defeats the purpose of the division. It doesn't matter. If you come in second place in your division, you automatically qualify for the playoffs. If you come in third place in your division, you still have a very good chance of sneaking into the playoffs. So the whole thing for me is the season is based around these series against the other teams that are in your division. And if you are the better team, then you prove it throughout the regular season. You should be rewarded for that. And that's what I think baseball does right about their playoffs, is that you are rewarded for that. So like you said, E-Ray, it does get annoying when the Astros win 98 games and the Yankees win 94 games. And, you know, the team that the Yankees play in the playoffs has a better record than sorry, I'm confusing myself, but what you said before, was correct. What you said before is correct. It is annoying that you can sometimes play a team, the wild card team has a better record than the AL Central team, but they won the AL Central, so they're rewarded by not having to play in a wild card game. And the Astros won their division and they had the best record, so they're rewarded. Sense. For winning their division.
I just don't want to be in the game, guys. All right?
No, I agree. I agree.
We all agree with that. You think of it as a fan, but also think of it as somebody who loves baseball and loves the game and wants to see it succeed. And I think we can all pretty much agree that the expanded playoffs was fine for a 60-game season, but other than that, you never need to see it again. And if they do see it again, then it's a travesty. Other than that, boys, E-Ray, you usually have a little nugget for us at the end. What do you got for us?
All I really have this time is, our Martian turned 18 years old.
That's right.
Our Martian, who they compared to Mike Trout, Mickey Mantle, and Bo Jackson. All right, guy, you're up.
Let me just say, I'm going to put this out there because there were a lot of chirpies who were chirping that. If you went to Major League Baseball's prospect page, it did not say the talent of those three. It said the athleticism of those three.
Oh, but
they didn't put it on the graphic, and they rightfully got shit for it on Twitter. But I went to the actual page for him because now he's ranked in, I believe he's 56, right?
30. It depends on the rankings.
Maybe
I think it's higher. I think it's 32 or something. I don't know.
He was in the 30s. But I went to the page and it said the athleticism of Bo Jackson, Mickey Mantle, and Mike Trout, which makes sense given their 5-tool players. I mean, Bo Jackson may be the greatest athlete of all time. And then Mickey Mantle, one of the best switch hitters and one of the best baseball players ever. So, you know what? He does have high expectations, but in hindsight, a lot different to say the athleticism of those three than the baseball talent of those three. So it'll be interesting to see. He's 18 now, and correct me if I'm wrong, now he's finally going to be able to play in single A baseball, right?
I don't know what's going to happen because last year there was no minor league season, so a lot of these players didn't have development. He's never even played single.
He's never played single A.
I don't know if he's going to be in the States playing in the States this season. I guess we'll find out in a few weeks. I'm sure.
Yeah, I hope he does. I mean, this is probably stalling his, like you said, his progression.
The good news is he's only 18. So
yeah, that's true. And if he's as good as everybody says, then he probably won't need that much time in single A ball. He might be able to go up to double A, a lot quicker than most. So, I mean, look at Glaber. When we got him, he was single A, and within
he's only 20. He was only 22, but now he's 24. I believe.
Yeah. But I think it was maybe 2.5 years. That's how long it took him to get up to the majors. So, you know what? If this kid is as good as we are thinking and as we're betting on, then he might really be up in the majors by 2024 because he might only need a couple of years in the minor leagues. Anything else, guys?
I have one more thing.
I just want to say Dominguez is 32nd on the MLB pipeline top 100 list. They list him as in the Dominican League, the rookie ball. So I'm not sure that he's going to be. That may be based on where he was prior to the shutdown last year, but I'm not sure if he's going to be playing.
And I haven't heard anything about them doing the minor league season or not yet.
Yeah, I haven't really been following that. I guess just like everything else.
Yeah.
To be determined.
Right?
Yep.
Just one. I think I messaged you guys because I was watching the Caribbean World Series. Of course, Puerto Rico losing to the Dominican again. I feel like that always happens. But one Yankee prospect to keep an eye on, Luis Medina. He pitched a couple of those games, looked pretty good. Yankees Twitter was talking highly about him. I saw him. He was throwing 100 miles per hour. His fastball had a nice changeup. I think it was like 90 miles per hour. His stuff looked good out there. That they were saying, Twitter was saying that maybe keep an eye on him. He could possibly
for Luis Castillo. That's right. That's,
That's
there
what
you
you
go.
guys are
That's the
saying.
only thing I want to keep an eye on.
I was gonna say maybe he can be a bullpen piece this year, but yeah, I mean to keep pitching well, and then maybe we can send you off. But yeah, just keep an eye on that name.
Trade your
looks
prospects. Hashtag
looks
trade your
fun.
prospects.
Trade your
Absolutely.
prospect.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, boys. As always, it's good to be back. And next week we'll be setting the table and get everybody ready. So good job holding it down here in the bullpen as we get ready to throw it to the setup man next week to get us ready for spring training. As always, you can listen to brand new episodes of Our Little Yankees podcast wherever you listen to podcasts. That includes Spotify, Apple Music, TuneIn, and SoundCloud. And you can watch the beautiful faces of ours when the new episodes are posted every week on YouTube as well. Just make sure you follow us at Our Little Yankees podcast, which is at Our Little Yanks pod on Twitter, to make sure that you follow and stay up to date on everything Our Little Yankees podcast related. Until next time, folks, Josh Levin, Eric Ray Sepulveda, I'm Julian Coltree. We'll catch you on the flip side.